Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get to the heart of what truly matters. Today, we're diving into a source that, well, it's transformed countless lives. Don Miguel Ruiz's profound book, The Four Agreements. It's really more than just a self-help guide. It's a deep well of ancient Toltec wisdom, offering a very practical path to personal freedom.
And our mission, really, in this deep dive is to pull out the absolute core insights from that ancient wisdom. We're not just summarizing here, we're digging for those surprising facts, those genuine aha moments, things that can help you navigate not just, the information overload we all face, but also the complexities of your own perceptions, your interactions. It's really about getting to the essence of a worldview that, even though it's thousands of years old, feels incredibly relevant today, right now.
Okay, let's unpack this then. To really grasp the power of the Four Agreements, we probably need to understand the foundation first, right? The Toltec perspective it comes from. It's fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. So the Toltec, they were revered in southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. Think of them as scientists and artists, sort of, dedicated to exploring and conserving spiritual wisdom. They gathered at places like Teotihuacan, which means the place where man becomes God. And importantly, their knowledge wasn't really a religion, not in the way we usually think of it. It was more a way of life focused on happiness and love. And it flowed from this idea of like an essential unity of truth you find in sacred traditions worldwide. Now, this esoteric knowledge, it was actually hidden for centuries, partly because of the European conquest and also some misuse by apprentices, unfortunately. But ancient prophecies actually predicted its return. And Don Miguel Ruiz, who comes from the Eagle Knight lineage, well, he's sharing these powerful teachings now.
And a really key concept here, one I find just incredibly poetic, is the smoky mirror. Can you walk us through that idea?
Yeah, it's a beautiful metaphor. Imagine an ancient human, maybe studying medicine or spiritual stuff. One night, dreaming, he sees his own body sleeping. Then he walks out of a cave, new moon night, sees millions of stars, and bam, this huge realization hits him. I am made of light, I am made of stars. He understands that everything is light. Even the space between things isn't empty. It's all one living being. God, the universe, whatever word you use.
So his perception itself was just light perceiving light.
Exactly, that was the insight. Human perception is fundamentally light perceiving light. He saw matter as a mirror, just reflecting light, creating images. And this led him to see that the world of illusion, what he called the dream, it's like smoke. This smoke, this fog, stops us from seeing who we really are. Pure love, pure light.
Right, this is where it gets really personal.
Yeah.
He realized everyone else is also a mirror. But because of this wall of fog or smoke, which is, all our human interpretations of light, the collective dream, people couldn't see their true selves. They couldn't even see him as a reflection of themselves. So he called himself the smoky mirror, because he could look at others and see himself, but they were just blinded by the smoke of their own dreams. They couldn't see him back. It's such a powerful image for how we see, or maybe don't see, each other.
It really is. And it leads us straight into this idea of domestication and the dream of the planet. We are, in a way, dreaming right now with the brain awake. Dreaming isn't just for nighttime, it's the mind's main job, happening 2-4-7. And there's this huge collective dream of the planet. All of society's rules, beliefs, laws, religions, cultures. It's built from billions of individual personal dreams, all woven together.
Okay, so when a child is born, they're basically dropped right into this outside dream. And that's the process of domestication. Adults, parents, schools, religious figures, they teach kids society's dream.
Yeah, by grabbing their attention and repeating the rules, the norms, over and over. And this shapes everything for the child. What they perceive, what they believe is true, how they're supposed to behave.
All those unspoken rules. What's okay, what's not okay, good, bad, beautiful, ugly. It's all just fed to us, often without us even realizing it's happening.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This domestication, it runs on punishment and reward. Just like, training a dog or how we learn in any structured system.
Right.
You get called a good boy or good girl if you comply, and you're bad if you rebel. This builds up this deep fear of being punished, fear of not getting the reward, and that pushes us to pretend to be what we are not, just to please others.
Which leads straight to self-rejection, doesn't it?
Exactly. Profound self-rejection. We end up becoming like copies of what other people believe. And the domestication gets so strong, we even start doing it to ourselves. Auto-domestication. We become our own judge, punishing and rewarding ourselves based on those beliefs we swallowed whole.
And this internal setup, that brings us to the inner
Yeah.
judge and the victim.
Mm,
So our mind operates with a sort of internal book of law, which is just our belief system. And the inner judge is constantly checking everything, what we do, think, feel against that book. If we break a rule, boom, guilt, shame, self-punishment.
yeah. And then there's the victim part. That's the bit that just accepts all the blame, the guilt, the shame. It's always saying, poor me, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy.
It sounds like a constant painful loop. And it's all based on beliefs we never consciously chose for ourselves.
It is. And what's really disturbing is how it creates the cycle of injustice.
Mm-hmm.
Humans, Ruiz says, we pay thousands of times for just one mistake because of our memory, because of that relentless self-judgment.
Unlike animals, right? They make a mistake, pay the price once, move on.
Exactly. We just keep reliving it, punishing ourselves over and over. And we do it to others too. We make them pay repeatedly for their mistakes, sometimes holding on to it for years. This whole cycle, he argues, keeps us trapped in what he calls a pervasive dream of hell.
A dream of hell. Wow, that's a strong way to put it. What exactly does he mean by that?
He means the world outside us often feels like a nightmare, doesn't it? Full of violence, fear, injustice. And our personal internal dreams can become these ongoing nightmares too. You know, religions talk about hell as a place of punishment, fear, pain, suffering. The Toltec view is that we're kind of already in hell, but as a state of mind. We experience those same emotions burning inside us: anger, jealousy, envy, hate.
So it's an internal state we live in.
Yes. And others, he points out, can only pull us deeper into that hell if we let them, if we agree with their negativity.
And this mental fog or chaos you mentioned, the thing that stops us seeing clearly, what's the Toltec word for that?
That's the metot, pronounced M-H-Tote. He describes it like 1,000 people talking at the same time in your head and nobody understands each other. Just chaos.
Like static.
Exactly. In India, it's called Maya, or illusion. It's the personality's idea of I am, and it blinds us to our true nature, which is free. And the deepest fear, interestingly, isn't death.
What is it then?
It's taking the risk to be alive and express what we really are. We spend so much energy trying to satisfy what others expect, terrified of being rejected. We create this impossible image of perfection we can never live up to.
Which inevitably leads to more self-rejection, self-abuse even.
Absolutely. That belief system, the judge, the victim, he argues they are our worst abusers. We only tolerate abuse from others up to the level we abuse ourselves because deep down, that belief system whispers, I deserve it.
That's incredibly heavy. It feels almost suffocating just thinking about it. But this is where the 4 agreements come in, right?
So that's the lifeline. We've made thousands of agreements with ourselves and the world that define who we think we are. So many are rooted in fear, and they just drain our personal power without us even noticing. And what's fascinating here is breaking those old limiting agreements is how you get your power back. The 4 powerful agreements he offers are designed to completely overhaul that old system. They lead you toward creating a new dream, what he calls a personal dream of heaven.
That sounds like a massive shift, a really powerful transformation. But I imagine adopting these new agreements, it must take serious effort. Discipline.
Oh, absolutely. He's clear about that. They require a very strong will and lots of repetition to really sink in and become habits. They aren't just ideas you understand intellectually. They have to be practiced daily.
Okay, so let's dive into the first one. He calls it the most important, but also the hardest one to stick to. What is it?
The first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. He says just by honoring this one agreement, you can transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth.
Wow. Why is the word so powerful?
Because your word is the power that you have to create. He sees it as a direct gift from God or the universe. It's how you manifest everything, your dreams, your feelings, who you truly are. It's not just noise, it's a force, the most powerful tool humans have. But it's like a sword with 2 edges.
Meaning it could be used for good or not so good.
Exactly. Misusing your word is like black magic, creating hell. But being impeccable with it creates beauty, love, heaven on earth.
And he gives a really chilling example of the negative power of words, doesn't he? It really makes you pause.
He does. He points to figures like Hitler. Through the sheer power of his words, based on fear and distorted beliefs, he manipulated a whole country. Led them into war, horrific violence, convinced millions to commit atrocities. It shows the immense power words carry.
Scary potential.
Yeah. The human mind, Ruiz explains, is like fertile ground, and words are seeds, opinions, ideas, concepts. One word is like a spell, he says, and humans use the word like black magicians, often without even realizing it.
Like casual comments that land wrong.
Totally. Imagine just casually saying to a friend, wow, you look like you're going to get cancer, or calling a little girl ugly. He sees those as spells. If the person believes it, it can take root, manifest, or just be carried as a burden for years.
But the flip side is true too. Positive words can break spells.
Yes. A new, positive agreement, like genuinely telling someone you are not stupid, can break an old negative spell. It can literally lift that weight.
So let's break down impeccable. It comes from Latin, right? Peccatus meaning sin and meaning without. So without sin. But he defines sin differently, doesn't he? Not religious dogma, but anything that goes against yourself.
Exactly. Judging yourself, blaming yourself, rejecting yourself, that's the sin. So being impeccable means taking responsibility for your actions, but without the self-judgment and blame. He calls self-rejection the biggest sin, saying it leads towards a kind of spiritual or emotional death. Impeccability leads to life.
That reframes it completely. It's about self-love, really.
Absolutely. He argues using your word against others is ultimately using it against yourself anyway. If you insult someone, they'll probably resent you, maybe hate you. That negative energy comes back to you.
Whereas love expressed tends to bring love back.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
So impeccability is the correct use of your energy, directing it towards truth and love for yourself. The huge challenge, though, is that we've all learned to lie, especially to ourselves. And we constantly misuse words to spread what he calls emotional poison: anger, jealousy, hate, blame. Gossip is a big one.
He tells a story about that, right? A mother and daughter.
Yeah, a really poignant one. A mother, tired and stressed, snaps at her happy singing daughter, "Shut up, you have an ugly voice." Just one careless comment, born of frustration. But it created a spell. The daughter stopped singing. She learned to repress her emotions, carried that wound into adulthood, never really understanding why she couldn't express herself joyfully.
Wow. And gossip. You mentioned gossip. How does that fit in?
He calls gossip black magic at its very worst. Think of it like a computer virus for the mind. It carries harmful intent, spreads bad information, messes up clear thinking, and creates more mental chaos, more mitote.
He gives an example like hearing gossip about a teacher.
Right. A classmate tells you the new teacher is terrible. That gossip poisons your perception before you even give the teacher a chance. Maybe you even drop the class based on it. These mental computer hackers, as he calls them, spread this virus, sometimes just out of habit, sometimes for revenge. It's about the toxic intent.
Okay, so the path forward with this first agreement is becoming really aware, conscious of how we talk, especially to ourselves.
Yes. Noticing those inner put-downs. I look fat. I'm so stupid. I'll never get this right. Adopting this agreement, practicing it, starts to clean out that emotional poison. It builds immunity to negative spells from others, too. Your mind literally stops being fertile ground for black magic and becomes fertile ground for words of love.
And he says you can measure your impeccability by your level of self-love. That's a powerful benchmark.
It really is. It's amazing to think you could start transforming your own personal hell into heaven just with this one agreement, practiced consistently.
Which naturally leads into the second agreement.
It does, yeah. They build on each other.
So the second one is said to come right out of the first. What's the principle here?
The second agreement is, don't take anything personally. The core idea is, well, it sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Don Miguel explains that what other people do, what they say, even the insults they might throw, it's about them. It's about their own dream, their own stuff, not about you.
He calls taking things personally the maximum expression of selfishness. That's provocative.
It is, because it assumes everything is about me. When you take something personally, you're essentially agreeing with whatever negative thing was said or done, and then he says the poison goes through you. You become easy prey for these predators, the black magicians. You let their negativity infect you.
So if you can truly embrace this, not taking things personally, you build immunity to all that emotional garbage.
Exactly. Immunity to the poison, even if you're surrounded by negativity, what he calls hell.
Yeah.
You stop feeling offended so easily. You stop needing to defend your beliefs all the time or getting into pointless arguments just to be right.
Because you realize their stuff is their stuff, and our stuff is our stuff.
Precisely. Our own words and actions are also projections of our own dream, our own agreements. Don Miguel says himself, if people call him the best or the worst, he doesn't take it personally either way. because he knows who he is. He doesn't need that external validation, positive or negative.
Other people's anger or even their praise comes from their own state, their own fears or happiness, not really about you.
Right. It's their movie.
That feels especially relevant today with social media and constant opinions flying around. Not taking it personally becomes like a superpower for your mental health.
It really does. And he goes deeper.
Yeah.
If someone says something that hurts you, it's not actually the words causing the pain. It's that you have wounds that I touch with those words. You're essentially hurting yourself by letting old wounds get triggered.
Oof, that's confronting.
It is. Everyone's creating their own movie of life, right? They're the director, the producer, the star. Your viewpoint is totally personal. It's no one's truth but yours. And this applies internally, too. The mind hears voices maybe from other realms, as the Toltec saw it, or maybe just its own chatter, the mitote.
That huge marketplace of conflicting thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah. Not taking those internal voices personally is just as crucial. Recognizing they're just thoughts, not necessarily ultimate truths about who you are.
He talks about how we set ourselves up to suffer for nothing, and how humans seem almost addicted to suffering, even supporting each other's addiction to drama and pain. So by learning not to take things personally, you start trusting yourself more than what others say about you.
Yes. You don't need to trust others as much as you need to trust yourself to make the right choices.
And if people lie, he says it's usually about their own fear, their own need to seem perfect.
Right. So watching their actions often tells you more than their words, saves a lot of emotional pain.
And if someone doesn't treat you well, with love and respect, he calls it a gift if they walk away.
Yeah, it clears space for something better. The freedom you gain from this agreement is huge. Anger, jealousy, envy, even deep sadness. They start to lose their grip.
He claims that practicing just the first two agreements can break 75% of the teeny tiny agreements that keep you trapped in hell. That's a bold claim.
It is, but it points to the power of reclaiming your word and your perception. He paints this picture. You can travel around the world with your heart completely open and no one can hurt you. Imagine that freedom.
That's incredible. And it leads us right into the third agreement, building on that protected, open heart.
Exactly.
So even if we're being impeccable with our word and not taking things personally, what's another major way we trip ourselves up, especially in relationships?
The third agreement tackles that directly. Don't make assumptions. This one points out our deep-seated habit of making assumptions about, well, everything. And the crucial mistake is, we then believe our assumptions are the truth. We don't question them.
And the fallout from that is huge, isn't it?
Oh, massive. Assumptions lead straight back to taking things personally. They lead to blaming others, reacting with that emotional poison. They create huge drama for nothing. He actually says assumptions are the root of all the sadness and drama we experience, and even the war of control between humans.
How so? The war of control.
Because we make an assumption, then we defend it like it's fact. We gossip about our assumptions. We try to make other people wrong to validate our own assumptions. And often, the root cause is simply being afraid to ask for clarification. We fear looking stupid, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that internal chaos, the mitote, makes it worse. We misinterpret things.
Totally. We see what we want to see, hear what we expect to hear. We basically dream things up in our imaginations and treat them as reality.
He gives some really spot-on examples, like you see someone smile at you across the mall.
And so then,
You've built this whole fantasy about a future relationship in your head, all based on a smile. Or in relationships, assuming your partner knows what we think or what we want without us having to say it.
yes, that classic, you should have known scenario. It breeds so much resentment and hurt, all from an unspoken assumption.
He mentions marriage, too. Assuming your partner sees marriage exactly the same way you do without ever actually talking about it.
Right. Leads to inevitable conflict. And we make assumptions about ourselves too, overestimating, underestimating, lying to ourselves about what we truly want.
And that classic relationship killer, my love will change this person.
He's very clear. That's an assumption. And it's usually false. People only change if they want to change. Real love, he suggests, means accepting others just the way they are, without assuming you can fix or change them.
So what's the antidote? It seems obvious, but maybe hard to practice.
The solution is simple, conceptually. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. You need the courage to ask. Keep asking until things are genuinely clear, and even then, don't assume you know everything.
And finding your voice to actually ask for what you want directly.
Yes. Stop expecting people to read your mind. The benefits. Clean, clear communication. No emotional poison flying around based on misunderstandings. Your word naturally becomes more impeccable because you're seeking truth, not assuming. All your relationships, he says, can change dramatically.
Imagine a world where everyone did this.
No wars, no major misunderstandings, he suggests. But he adds a crucial warning. Understanding its importance is not enough. Knowing the idea is just the seed. What will really make the difference is action, practice, repetition. That's what builds the new habit and strengthens your will.
Which ties perfectly into the fourth agreement, the one he says makes the other three stick, makes them become ingrained habits.
Exactly. The fourth agreement is always do your best. And there are important nuances here. Your best means no more and no less.
Yeah.
Crucially, your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. It changes.
Right. Depending on if you're tired or full of energy, sick or healthy, your mood.
Precisely. And your best generally improves over time with practice. Trying to do more than your best actually works against you. You burn out, deplete your energy, but doing less than your best, that leads to frustration, self-judgment, guilt, regrets.
So it's about finding that sweet spot in the moment.
Yes, and by always doing your best, whatever that looks like moment to moment, he says, you will break a big spell that you have been under. Because if you know you did your best, you simply can't judge yourself harshly for the outcome. It disarms that inner critic.
That reminds me of that story, I think it's Buddhist, about the man asking the master how long enlightenment would take.
Oh yeah, meditating 4 hours versus 8 hours.
Right. The master says 10 years for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So the guy says, okay, what if I do 8 hours? Faster.
And the master says, then maybe 20 years. Because you're missing the point.
Exactly. You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. Do your best, but don't make it a joyless sacrifice.
It perfectly illustrates the no more, no less idea. And it connects to why you're taking action. Doing your best means taking action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people, he observes, do the opposite. They drag themselves to work for the paycheck, resisting the action itself.
But if you enjoy the action, if you do your best, because the action itself has meaning.
Rewards will likely come anyway, but you won't be attached to them. The joy is in the doing. And doing your best includes learning from mistakes. It's about practice. Look honestly at the results and keep practicing. It's a growth mindset.
Action is living fully. Inaction, often born of fear, is denying life. Like just sitting in front of the TV for years, afraid to try.
Right. He even mentions Forrest Gump as an example. Gump didn't have great ideas, but he took action. And he was happy things worked out for him, largely because he always did his best in the moment without overthinking or expecting specific rewards.
So this applies to everything. Every action can become a ritual, a way of honoring yourself, honoring life or God. Like taking a shower can be a ritual of self-love, not just getting clean. Like the Indian concept of puja.
Exactly. God is life. God is life in action. The best way to say, I love you, God, is to live your life doing your best.
And the way to say thank you, God, is by letting go of the past and living in the present moment.
Because if you're not enjoying the present, you're living half alive, stuck in the past.
You were born with the right to be happy, to love, enjoy life. Your existence proves the existence of God, he says. It's a birthright.
And the crucial link. The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best with them. You won't be impeccable with your word perfectly overnight. You will take things personally sometimes. You will make assumptions.
But if you're doing your best not to, that's the key.
Yes. Don't expect perfection. Just do your best. That lessens the self-judgment when you slip up, which you will. It allows the new habits to slowly weaken the old, ingrained ones.
Yeah.
Practice makes the master.
Just like learning to walk or write. Repetition. Doing your best each time.
These 4 agreements, practiced together, form the core of what he calls the Toltec path to freedom. And when he talks about true freedom, what does he mean? It's the freedom to be who we really are.
Like a little kid.
Exactly, like a wild 2 or 3-year-old. They live totally in the present, express themselves without filter, they're fearless explorers. We lose that freedom when the judge, the victim, and the belief system take control.
And he's clear. We don't need to blame our parents or whoever domesticated us. They just taught what they knew, what they'd been taught.
Right. But now, as adults, it's our turn to stop the abuse, the self-abuse, and free ourselves. The real you, he suggests, is that little child who never grew up inside. The one that comes out when you're truly happy, playing, being creative.
But our responsibilities and seriousness often bury that part.
They can, yeah. And the worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we are not free. We think this state of internal conflict is normal.
So the very first step on this path has to be awareness. Realizing we're not free.
Absolutely. Only with awareness can we even begin to heal and transform our personal dream.
And this leads to the Toltec Masteries.
Yes. 3 stages. First, the mastery of awareness. Really seeing who we are, our situation, our possibilities. Second, the mastery of transformation. Learning how to change, how to break free from that domestication. The 4 agreements are key tools here. And third, the mastery of intent. This connects to life itself, to unconditional love, to what Ruiz calls God. This is ultimately the mastery of love.
He uses another powerful metaphor here, the parasite, comparing the judge, victim, and belief system to that.
Yeah, it's a striking image, like a parasite that invades the human mind, making us sick. This parasite, he says, feeds on the negative emotions that come from fear. It thrives on drama and suffering. It controls our mind, dreams through it, keeps us locked in negativity.
So being a warrior in this context isn't about fighting others, but fighting this internal parasite.
Exactly, rebelling against it, fighting for the right to use our own mind, reclaim our own energy and perception.
And how do you defeat this parasite? What are the strategies?
He outlines a few approaches. One is the slow process. Attack it head by head. Face each fear, each limiting belief, one by one as it comes up.
Okay, methodical.
Another is starvation. You stop feeding the parasite by consciously choosing not to indulge in fear-based emotions. Gain control over your emotional reactions.
Sounds difficult given how ingrained the judge and victim are.
Very difficult, he admits, because they want you to feel those negative emotions. That's their food. A third way, faster but harder, is the initiation of the dead, a symbolic death that kills the parasite without harming the body. We can talk more about that.
Okay. And this also connects to the art of transformation.
Yeah.
Or the dream of the second attention.
Yes. That's about using your new awareness. You're no longer innocent or unconscious about your beliefs. You now have a choice. You consciously focus your attention on those self-limiting, fear-based beliefs. Take an inventory of your agreements. See what's running your life.
But so deciding to adopt the 4 agreements is basically like declaring war on the parasite.
A declaration of war to regain your freedom, yes. You start by breaking the small, easier agreements first. Each one you break gives you more personal power back. Then you can face the big demons, the deeply rooted fears and beliefs.
And you have to replace the old agreements with new ones.
Crucial. Replace fear-based agreements with agreements based on love and truth. Otherwise, the old ones can creep back in. And again, repetition makes the master. Constantly practicing the new agreements until they become automatic.
This sounds like it requires real discipline, the discipline of the warrior.
It does. Think about our energy. We wake up with a certain amount, but emotional fights, internal or external, just drain it. Our whole view of the world shifts with our emotions, right? Angry. Everything looks wrong. Sad. Everything looks gray and hopeless. The Toltec view the emotional body as being covered with infected wounds from all that domestication, filled with emotional poison. We see this state as normal, but Ruiz called it a dysfunctional dream of the planet.
And the cure involves truth.
Yes. Truth to open the emotional wounds, take the poison out, and heal them completely. And the primary tool for that healing is forgiveness.
Forgiving everyone. Parents, siblings, friends, God, even yourself.
Especially yourself. Forgiveness in this sense means you no longer have an emotional reaction when you think about the past hurt, when the old wound is touched. It's truly healed.
So truth is like a surgeon's scalpel.
Exactly. It opens the wounds that our denial system keeps covered up so they can actually be cleaned and healed. A healthy mind doesn't need to lie or deny reality. Warriors, he says, control their own emotions and behavior. They learn to refrain holding emotions, choosing the right time and way to express them constructively, instead of repressing them out of fear, which is what the victim does. This conscious control is part of being impeccable.
Let's go back to that initiation of the dead. It sounds intense. What does it really involve? It's symbolic, right?
Yes, highly symbolic. It means taking death itself as our teacher to learn how to be truly alive. It's about cultivating a profound awareness of mortality, realizing you can die at any moment, that you only have just the present to be alive.
How does that change things?
Well, he asked, if you knew you only had a week left, would you waste it suffering? Or would you choose happiness, live fully, drop the pretenses?
You'd probably choose to just be myself.
Right. Live each day as if it's your last. Express gratitude. Express love without holding back. Avoid pointless fights. This symbolic death means The old dream, the parasite's dream running your life, is going to die forever. The parasite itself is starved and dies.
And then comes resurrection.
Yes. Rising from that symbolic death, being like a child to be wild and free, but with a difference. The difference is that we have freedom with wisdom instead of innocence. You're aware now.
The angel of death teaches surrender.
Surrender to the reality of impermanence. Everything is temporary. Your house, your spouse, your children, everything is mine, says the angel of death metaphorically. Letting go of attachment to the past, to outcomes, makes life incredibly light. It frees you to live right here, right now.
And all of this work, all these agreements and masteries, they lead towards creating the new dream, heaven on earth.
Exactly. It's the understanding that your perception of reality, you can change at any time. You hold the power. You can choose to create your own internal heaven or your own internal hell, simply by changing your perspective and the agreements you live by.
Imagine living without that constant internal conflict. No self-judgment. No fear of expressing yourself or fear of being rejected or unloved.
He insists it's entirely possible. Many people have done it, he says, by changing their agreements. And the key ingredient is love. Only love has the ability to put you in that state of bliss. Love changes your perception completely. The mitote, that mental noise, has gone on a permanent vacation.
This state, it's what spiritual traditions have always pointed towards, right?
Yes. Moses' promised land, Buddha's nirvana, Jesus' heaven, the Toltec's new dream. Different names, same goal. Profound inner peace and connection.
But the challenge is huge. Our identity gets so tangled up with the old dream, with the judge and victim. Suffering can feel weirdly safe, familiar.
That's the paradox. But he states it plainly. The only reason you suffer is because you choose to suffer. Happiness is also a choice. Love is a choice. And he ends that section with a direct challenge. My choice is to live in heaven. What is yours?
Wow. It really puts the responsibility back on us.
Completely. And it highlights the synergy of the agreements when you practice them together. If you are impeccable with your word, if you don't take anything personally, if you don't make assumptions, if you always do your best, then you are going to have a beautiful life.
It's like a formula for transformation.
It's a summary of the mastery of transformation. Exactly. He fully acknowledges how hard it is. Society's agreements constantly create obstacles and try to sabotage your efforts. But the warrior spirit is about persistence. If I fell, I am strong enough. I stood up and kept going. That's the attitude.
So if you break an agreement, which will happen,
do not judge yourself harshly. Instead, be tough with yourself in the sense of holding yourself accountable to stand up again. Stand up and make the agreement again. Start fresh. Practice daily, even just affirming it each morning. Today, I will be impeccable with my word. I will not take anything personally. I will not make any assumptions, and I am going to do my best.
and eventually it gets easier.
Soon it will be easy for you, he promises. Today is the beginning of a new dream.
We've covered so much ground today. It's been a truly profound journey through the 4 agreements and these ancient Toltec principles. It really offers a revolutionary way to look at ourselves, our relationships, that whole inner world that dictates our experience.
And hopefully this deep dive hasn't just been about, interesting information. It's about offering tools, real tools you can use, tools to reclaim your personal power, your energy, and really transform your experience of life. Moving from that dream of hell towards your own personal dream of heaven.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Here's something to maybe chew on. Think about the difficulties or the suffering in your life today. How much of it is genuinely caused by external events, and how much might actually be a self-imposed consequence of the agreements you've made with yourself, maybe without even realizing it?